So what we are going to be doing today, I already prepared a very small documentation and analysis for I think this horizontal scroll. Somebody asked a question about it that if you have a website where you're scrolling vertically and you need to, of course, view things in the horizontal form. Before now, I have seen people use it on desktop, but just yesterday, I think a client sent me a sample of something like that on mobile and they want it for their website. Although I haven't tried it on mobile, but it is very, very possible and achievable on desktop. So I think we should actually start with that. Then after doing that, would then do a recap of the last what we discussed in the last class that was not recorded. So to start with, let me just give a breakdown of what it's the thing is all about. So to get that horizontal scroll done, there are quite a number of things that you need to put in mind, and which is the different elements that you're going to put inside each other. I think the first thing we need to start with is, of course, is the design, the layout. Then after the layouts, the next thing will be the animation. Now, for the layout, one of the elements that is very important to you that you need is a track. So let me go to Webflow and go to an empty page. Is page two empty? Okay, good. Now, so we have our main wrapper, and like I said, we want to create something that when I'm scrolling on the vertical level as a normal user, I want my window to actually go horizontal so I can, of course, view the content I have in the horizontal way while I'm still scrolling vertically. Because if I wanted to probably have an horizontal scroll, I could have done an horizontal scroll design. Or if I actually want something to be a slider, I could have actually used like a slider for horizontal scroll also. And also there is something that we have which is overflow auto in Webflow. I'm not sure if David has touched that, so I'm actually going to treat it after this analysis. So to get started, we need to have a track. Now, this track is actually going to be the main parent of all the elements that we are going to have. The track can be a section, it can be a div. But if you're using a div, don't forget to always tag it as a section. So of course your HTML can also, the system can read it that this is an and this is a section element. So I'm actually going to use a div, then create a div block. Now the next thing, I'm not giving it a class yet. I just need to select it and of course give it my section tag here. Now like I said earlier, what we have technically in this thing is you're still seeing your vertical view. It's just that the elements inside are moving on the horizontal. So you need to be very calculative here. So let's say, for instance, I want about 4 elements or 3 elements to display. So looking at 1 second, let me publish this Sun District so I can actually use it to do more analysis. Now, looking at this Sun District's Euro page, Euro section, this is actually this is 100 VH because it is covering the entire screen. So if you're going to work with this horizontal scroll, so now you need to calculate, let's say I want to have like about 4 elements within my screen that I'm going to scroll through or 3 elements that I'm going to scroll through. Now, that calculation, you are going to start from the main parent, which is actually the track. So let's say, for instance, if I want to have 4 elements to scroll, what I need to do is instead of I need to give my track a specific height. So now I'm actually going to give this section a class name of track. Then let's say I want to, since I'm talking about having 4 items to scroll within my screen, so I can give it 400 VH. Now, this 400 VH means if a user is scrolling, they are going to experience the journey of as if they are scrolling the viewport height of their screen 4 times before they get to the bottom. Is that clear?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
All right. Now I have my track. The next item I need to have is the camera. So while this track is 400 VH, I need to have my camera to cover my viewports. So irrespective of what I'm scrolling up or down, it is what is in that camera that the user will see. So I need to create another div block inside the track and I'll give it a class of camera. Now, there are some settings we need to do to the camera, which is we need to give it 100 viewports width and 100 viewports height. The reason is because, like I said, this is actually what is going to display the content the audience will see. So whatever overflow or other elements we have, it is actually going to be hidden until the user scroll and those items comes into the camera. While they are outside of the camera, they will not be seen. So to calculate the size of my screen, because there are different sizes and different devices in terms of desktop, 14 inches, 16 inches, and of course, some iMac and the rest. So I can't give a specific RAM or a specific pixel. The best calculation I can do here is to give it 100 viewport width for the width, 100 VW, and the height will be 100 VH. And this is because I just want you to cover what the user will see within the screen. Now, it is not enough to just give this dimension, because when somebody scroll, as you can see this blue line, it is taking the camera out of the viewport. So what you need to do is, still on the camera, you will need to set the position to sticky. Now, there are different positions in Webflow. Most times, sticky is when you're trying to create some kind of sticky interaction that when you get to this point, just stay while every other thing moves. Then relative, most times you use it as a parent for absolute elements. Fixed, most times we use it for something like maybe you're creating like a WhatsApp button or some chat button, or maybe you are doing some cookie button at the bottom left or bottom right of your website, or maybe you're using it for like a nav bar, something that you want fixed. So irrespective of the scrolling position, it is not going to change. Then, of course, absolute, it is that one thing that you want to fly around that you can always position anywhere within the space. Just make sure the parent of your absolute is relative. So we are going to select sticky. Now, keeping this camera as sticky is not enough. We need to actually define at what point do we want this to be sticky. I think the best thing is to now select 0. 0 pixel, 0 rem, or 0 whatever. So this means, as you can see, I'm scrolling. If you can see this, the scroll bar here, as I'm scrolling vertical or up or down, the camera is still in view. This is because I have set the position to sticky 0. So 0 means at the 0 pixel at the top, I don't want this camera to move. So even when the user is moving up or down, the camera is still in view. Is that clear? Please, you guys can maybe indicate with chat, thumbs up or anything if you're just following. All right. Now, after the camera, the next thing we need to create is actually the frame. Now, the frame is what is going to house our items. So I'm actually going to click inside the camera, another div block. Then, of course, frame. Then we need to have some specific settings for our frame also. And one of it is we need to set it to horizontal flex. And the reason why we are setting it to horizontal flex is because we are working on a dimension whereby as I'm scrolling, as I'm experiencing the vertical scroll, the item move horizontally. So that already makes it the display to be horizontal flex. So I click on my frame and I set it to horizontal flex. Now, because I set it to horizontal flex, the next thing I need to do is just to set the height to let me get that. Is it 100% or 100 VH? I think I did my documentation here. Okay, 100%. So I just need to set my height to 100%. Now this is done. We have our camera, we have our frame, we have our track. The next thing we need to do now is to set the items. Now, some of you might want to ask that doing this, I have defined the cost structure of client first. Well, so there are so many attempts to this. While some people would say to start this track or to start anything entirely, you need to create your section underscore the name of the section. Then you need to create your padding global. You need to create your container large, and then you need to create your padding section large, your padding section small. While you are doing all of those, if you want to achieve this, you need to set everything. You need to give the combo class that is actually going to set all the dimensions to be 0, 0, 0, 0. So more like it's not going to be effective at all for you to still achieve this track. Or you can just start this particular section with track. I don't know if that is clear. I should come again.
It's quite clear.
All right. So now we have our frame set to horizontal. I think the next thing I want to do now is just to create another div and start adding my items. So div, which is going to be item. So now the reason why I'm using a div block for the item is because by using a div block, it's now going to serve as a parent, and you can use whatever type of element you actually want to have in your display. So let's say, for instance, I need some text, I need some images. Of course, I can put everything inside a div block. So it's always advisable you, of course, still stick with a div block. Then I need to give it a class name of item. Then I'll set the width to 100 VW, then the height to 100 VH. So this means anything that is going to be inside the item is actually going to have that dimension. Now, the next thing I need to do, which is very, very important, is to set the sizing to don't shrink or grow. The reason is because this item I'm going to have as I can have as many as possible. So let's say, don't forget when we're getting started, we set our track to 400 VH. That is because we want 4 items to be in display. So in the cases where I set it to like 800 VH, 900 VH, depending on the number of items I want to have in display, it is going to shrink and get distorted for the item here if I don't click this don't shrink or grow. So it is important to set this so it can retain the size that I've given to it here. So I'm going to select don't shrink or grow. Then the next thing I'll do is to just give, I think I'm going to use images. So let me just write image and then pick image from our item here. I think I like this. Oh no, not this. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a class name of image. Then I'm going to set the width to 100% and the height, of course, 100%. Sorry about that. The height 100%. Then, of course, the fill has to be cover. All right. Now I can duplicate my item. So let's say I want to have 4 because we set our track to be 400 VH. Control D, Control D, Control D. Now, as you can see, we have different items here. So I'm going to change the image. So we can just, of course, have different fill for each of the elements. So we have this on the streets. The next one, I'm going to use this interior. And then the last one, I'm going to use this. All right. Now, there is something that is happening that we need to correct here. If I start scrolling up or down, I have some overflow hidden, which is actually not advisable. Like they are not good, and I need to, of course, correct them. So to do that, I need to click on my camera. Now, don't forget, the camera is that thing that is actually going to show what we need in view, while every other thing will be hidden. So the overflow hidden is actually supposed to be applied to the camera. So I'm actually going to click on my camera and set overflow hidden. Now, I think everything is set for our animation. Any questions so far?
No question from me.
All right. So now we need to move to our interaction. So we are going to actually set an element trigger, and we are going to set it on the track since it is the parent of the entire project. So I'm going to click on my track and I'll click on interactions. I'll click on plus and I'll select while scrolling in view. So this means animate while scrolling through the viewports up or down. So I'll click while scrolling in view. Then I can still leave these devices for now. Like I said, somebody sent me an animation where something like this is functional on mobile and tablets. But personally, I've not tried it. So we're going to focus on desktop for the purpose of this class. And then I'll click play scroll animation. And of course, I'll click plus and then I want to start. So I'm going to give it horizontal scroll. Now this is it, horizontal scroll. Now we can only set the trigger to the track. We don't have to apply the rest of the animation to track. The reason is because the track is 400 VH, so we don't want to. It is already going to have the 400 viewport height scroll view. So what is actually important for us to do now? And the camera is going to be sticky, so we're not going to touch anything on this camera. So the next thing we'll be moving is the frame and not the items. And the reason why we are moving the frame and not the items is because the frame is serving as the parent to the items. So we can have as many items as possible. By the time we set this animation to item, it's actually going to probably move one item and leave the rest. And by the time we set it to class, it is actually not going to give us the scroll interaction we want. So I'm going to click on the frame. Then, of course, plus, and I'll click on move. Now we have the 0% and we have the 100%. 0%, which means at the beginning, then 100%, which means at the end. So at the beginning, I want this to be 0 viewport width. So let me go back to my documentation just to be sure of what we're doing. All right, yes, that's correct, 0 viewport width. Then the end. Now this, it gets tricky at this point. To calculate the end, now let's say I'm working with 4 items and I already have one in my viewports, meaning I want the end to be the last one. So let's say if I have 5 items and I already have one in my viewport width, to get to the last one, what I will need is minus 400 viewports width. I don't know if that is clear. I should make it clearer. So let's go to this documentation. So I already have this in view. Now, minus means negative, which is pushing things to the left. If I have this in view and I want this to be the one in view by the time the animation gets to the last part, so I'm actually going to move this minus. If I put minus 100 viewports width, I'm going to see this green. But if I put 200 viewports width, I'm going to see this blue. So most times when you're doing your calculation for this part, it's just like minus. So if you have four items, you just do minus 300. If you have 5 items, you just do minus 400. I hope that is clear. So in this case, because we are working on 4 items, I will just give it a weight of minus 300 VW. And it brings me to the last one. Now, if I click live preview, for instance, as I'm scrolling, I'm still having the vertical scroll. Let me use this scroll bar. Can you see it's bringing me to the last one? So I'm still doing vertical scroll. It's giving me to the last one. Now, one of the things we need to keep in mind is this animation is not set properly. As you can see, I'm at 0%, but okay, 43%. If I move to 0%, it will still not give me the frame I want it to show. Now, some people might come in and start adjusting this thing manually. It is not right. The reason why it is not right is because we have different device screen sizes. So by the time you start doing those adjustments here, it might run into error for some users, while some users will enjoy it. And you can't control the devices your client will use to view your projects. It is out of your control. So it's best you just try to adjust things in a way that it can be uniform irrespective of the device that is viewing it. So to proceed, what I would need to do is to click save. Now I need to set the animation boundaries. This animation boundary is actually what's going to trigger the device that the person is using. So if you come to this place where we have animation boundaries, now 0% when elements start entering, I need to set it to fully visible. So fully visible means now, because this is the only thing we have in our project, so I'm going to go back to style and just create some dummy sections so we can, of course, experience something. So I'm going to create a div. So I want to create just dummy section at the top and at the bottom so we can have our animation in the middle so we can experience it fully. So I'm going to give this a class of dummy. So I'm just going to give it about 200 VH. Okay. Then I'll duplicate it and keep one at the top. Sorry, this is not supposed to bookmark. So I'll duplicate and keep one at the top. So our track can be in the middle. Good. So this way, if I click preview, for instance, okay, so we have the dummy, then our animation starts. Then, of course, as I'm scrolling, but it is not smooth yet. So there are some things I need to do. But before I proceed, I just want to click publish and preview it so I can get a better view to preview it. All right, so this is done loading, but because we have blank dummy. Oh, so sorry, I need to publish. I published 6 days ago, so I need to publish first. Sorry. So I'll publish and refresh the test two page. All right, refresh. All right, now this is done. As you can see, I'm scrolling, but my animation is coming. I'm still scrolling up or down, but my animation is coming to the left. Now, don't forget when we're setting the animation boundaries, we set the entrance to be fully visible. Now we need to set the exits. If not, can you see something like this? I am not at the end of my animation, but then it has already moved out of viewport. So to do that, we still need to click on track and then come back to our interactions. Now we set the animation boundary for the 0%. We also need to set for the 100%. So in this case, we need to set it to, of course, fully visible. And most cases, what we need to do is just to add offsets. So these offsets, you can, of course, give some trials and see what works for you, but most likely you won't go beyond maybe 12 to 15%, or maybe sometimes 10%. So it depends on the number of items you are displaying in your viewports. So for this track, for instance, we have 4 items, which makes it 4 view each. So I'm just going to set the offsets to 15%, then publish again, and we're going to give it a reload and see what our animation looks like. So this is done publishing. I'm going to give this a reload. Let me reload it one more time. All right, so as you can see, I'm scrolling. Okay, it's still off balance. Then something is wrong somewhere. So instead of 10%, so let me reduce the percentage. Out of sets, let's say 10%. So we just need to keep on trying this till, of course, we get the right position. Okay, this is actually still going to the top. I think I will need to increase the percentage now to just see. Let me reduce it to 0 and see. So at this point, there is no specific input that you need to give. So you just keep on trying to, of course, you guess what you're doing. Oh, this one is even worse. So I think I might just need to increase it. Any questions so far?
I would ask question um, once I've practiced it, but I think it's quite easy to do from what you've taught us,
All
right?
right, so I think we are good now. Oh, this 30 is too much. So as you can see, so let me go back to the top. Let me refresh. So what I did now is to set the boundary for the exit to 39%. So I think the 39% is too much. So let me reduce it to 30 and publish again. But while I'm publishing, you can ask your question. So what's your question?
Okay, it wasn't like a question. It was just me. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, I can hear you.
Okay, it wasn't like a question. It was just me responding to your question of if we understand it. I think from what you've explained, I kind of get it, right? And I just need to practice, right? Because I practice twice or thrice, I'll get it well.
Okay. Okay. So let's go back to our test. I changed the offset to 30% now. So as I'm scrolling, as you can see, sticking to the top. Of course, now this is perfect. Can you see? So, like I said, the offset is, of course, depends on most likely the number of items you have that is actually going to control what you're doing. Right now, I think this is perfect. This gets to 100% there before it moves. This is perfect. Yes, this is perfect. So that is that about that. Then I think the next item I want to actually explain is the overflow auto. So let's say, for instance, if I move to my um, tablet or iPad, like I said, I've not tried this on iPad and mobile yet. Most likely it's still for desktop for me. So I'm actually going to make the animation stop on desktop. Probably when I do that behind the scene, then I can of course confidently come and say, okay, let's try it. And again, because this class is timed for 1 hour, I would not want to make it a try and error session. So I'd rather just come and give what I'm confident about. So I'm actually going to turn off the animation for these other devices. Then once that is done, my track, of course, I can just set it to auto. Now this is just the height, or let me just give it a specific height of, let's say, 30 rem. So I'm getting somewhere, 30 rem. Then my camera at this point now, of course, it's not going to be 100 VH again, so I can just set it to auto. This is my track, or instead of auto, I think I should give it 100%, so you can just cover the height. So I'm actually getting somewhere. Okay, now this is 100%. Now we have dummy at the top, dummy at the bottom. Then of course we have this. So I need to, I think, adjust the item also because I set the item to 100 VH. I need to set this to 100%. Now, so what I want to do now is to explain the overflow auto. Then I think the next thing I need to do is, so instead of 100 viewport width, so because of what I want to explain, um my track, I think I should set it to, instead of, so let me set it to like 50 rem. I'm getting somewhere, so just follow me, guys. 50 rem is too much, so let me set it to like 25 rem. I'm getting somewhere, so I have this as 25 rem. Okay, my camera is not going to be 100 VW again, so I was going to give this 100%. Then of course my item, instead of 100 VW, is not going to be 100% also. Then my frame now 100%. All right, so now let me check my item. This is item 1. This is item 2. So why is my item 2 not showing? I'm coming, guys. This is my item 2. Oh, my camera is still showing overflow hidden. And don't forget, what I want to explain here is overflow auto. So I'm going to set the overflow to auto for the camera and not hidden anymore. Then of course my track, camera, which is overflow auto. Then my frame 100% and my item 100%. So let me preview this. Okay. Oh, okay. So what I need to do here, I think I should set um my camera should be the one, my track. For, I think let me start with the track. My track should not have a 25. My machine should just be 100%. Good. Then okay. So this is what I can do. Now let me publish this so we can have a preview of what I'm talking about for the overflow auto. So overflow hidden is going to stop your item from showing. So let me take this to the iPad, of course. Okay, this is iPad. Then refresh. Overflow auto is going to stop your item from showing. Sorry, overflow hidden. While overflow auto is actually going to create some imaginary horizontal scroll. I'm coming, or is this not? Oh, I've actually been doing this on mobile landscape, not even on horizontal on iPad iPad. So let me switch to mobile and just have it a preview, have a preview of it. So I'm going to scroll. Good. Now, as you can you see something that looks like a slider here at the bottom? Can everybody see that?
Yes, yes, yes.
So this is what Overflow Auto does. It gives you that flexible slider that does not come with next and previous like we have in Webflow. So let's say, for instance, you are having some section of your website and you do not want to just, mobile device normally, we've seen how devices are, how layouts are on mobile, whereby it's just straight down, straight down, straight down, straight down. And there are times whereby you need to actually create an horizontal section of an item. I think I did that on a client's website, which is 10 bucks. So this project was done with Webflow. Um, okay, it's a video-based project, so there are a lot of animations going on. So I think I should reload to have this section copied up properly. Now look at this section, for instance. If I'm to present this section on a mobile, somebody will just, instead of having it just so long that it might actually bore the user, that they are still talking about what we do before they now even get to this section that says, okay, recent project, and then of course this section. So cases like this, you might want to present them in a way that maybe you want to use either slider, for instance, or you may want to use this overflow auto. So when a user is actually going to use the overflow, 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 use the overflow auto. So that is the case. Those are cases where you may want to use this. Maybe just you don't want to stress your users to have that very long vertical scroll, because if you are having that on the website, it might bore them. So cases like that is where you can, of course, want to use it. Although, yeah, I use slider, but you may want to use that as well. All right, Ekene.
Okay, so I do have a question.
All right.
From this 10 box I showed us just now, on the
Yes.
desktop display,
Yes.
we have about three, four horizontal and
We
vertical
have,
boxes. When you get to that,
yeah.
so
Yes.
so now how do you solve that on mobile? First question is this. You see, we have about okay two row, four
And
columns,
four columns.
right?
Yes.
So does it mean you're going to stack, since you want to make them scrollable horizontally, you're going to stack this second rule immediately after the first rule?
All right. So in the case of 10 bucks, let me explain what I did. Now, most times, a lot of people will not tell you this, but one of the things they do is when they do a design for desktop and they realize the layout might come out more technical in, let's say, iPad or mobile view, they can actually turn off, they can put that section or that wrapper to be display hidden on mobile and then create a new section for mobile version that is going to be display hidden on desktop. So for this section, if you can see here, we have like horizontal over scroll, and again, there's a specific arrangement for these things. So what I did was for the section on desktop, of course, I used it. On tablets, I used it. But when we get to mobile landscape, I turn off the display to be hidden. Then I created a slider that is actually visible only on mobile but hidden on desktop. Do you understand?
So, yeah, I think I understand that from the perspective of nav menu, right? Where you
So yeah, good. Something the way okay, good. Now, if you look at nav menu, for instance, most times these icons. Now you are not seeing this icon, that menu icon. But the moment I switch to mobile, you are now seeing the icon. So that is actually what's how websites are built. Most times there are some display that you turn off depending on screen sizes. For developers, when they are coding, what they do is they set boundary that okay, from this viewport, okay, let's say I'm not going to use mobile first, for instance. I'm just going to I will have to use Chrome to be able to show the type of preview I need to explain now. But the preview I want to explain now is, when you're previewing an item, okay, let me just reduce my browser instead. I think with that I can achieve what I want to say. Because I'm using Chrome, so I may not be able to. Sorry, I'm using Mozilla, and there's a my Mozilla function that's all right. So now, so this is what I want to do. As I'm coming here, Now you can see this viewport now is now showing something like mobile. Now I have my nav menu. So that is actually what you're going to do. If you check desktop, that nav icon is hidden. So that is what I do. Maybe when I'm creating a section and I realize, this section needs to be different on mobile. If I don't turn off the entire section, I can create a div block within a div block that just carries each of those elements and then turn it off on mobile or turn it off on desktop, depending on the application. Then, of course, this here we have some over interaction. This was done with JavaScript. This scroll was done with JavaScript. Then we have some over interaction here, which was just done with hovering. Then this was done with hovering also. But these are videos. The videos are looped on autoplay. So anytime a user comes to hover on it, the video will play. Then, of course, I use Sticky for this 10 box advantage too. So as the user is scrolling, the image is changing. So these are just some advanced interaction that you can learn. And of course, videos. There are too many videos because it's for a video production company. So let's go back to our projects and let's see. So these are the cases where you can use that. So Ekene, what you can do is when you're designing, let's say, yeah, and you feel I may not like this thing here, you can probably just come to this camera. You may not want to probably turn it off. You can just give it the combo class of show mobile. So when you give it the combo class of show mobile, that means it will be hidden on desktop and iPad. It will only be visible on mobile. The same way we have that global class that client first has given us, which is hidden. We have, can you see, we have hide on mobile landscape. So they already created these things because they know that you might have some things that you do not want to show on mobile portraits or mobile landscape or mobile tablets, but they do not have things that you may just want to show only on mobile or only on iPad. So cases like that, then you can create your own combo class to identify them. I hope that solves your question.
Yes, that answered the question. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So so development is just like design. Sometimes you just need to apply your own trick that okay, how best can I achieve this? You can see some people's work is group. Why you see some people's work is frame. Some people is auto layout. Even if they don't want to group anything, you just apply auto layout. So I think different strokes for different folks. But of course, that's not the general way. There are professional ways to get things done. Any other question? I think we are almost 1 hour into this class. So can you guys ask any specific question you have for the class I forgot to record so I can just touch them so I can make them clearer? I think what we did that day was I think the social share or what else? Can anybody please remind me? Any questions so far? I think this is our last session. It's supposed to be fun and interactive, but we are not much in the house and some people are still on the road, so I can totally understand. About me, any question? Are we good? Brian, Olatola, Bolaji.
Yes, I'm still watching this video to be very long.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, same for me too. After watching. Yeah.
All right. So Olatola, you want to say something? Okay. Oh, you're good. All right. So I think my Oga David is going to, of course, do further communication if there is going to be anything to discuss. So in the absence of any question, I want to wish you guys Merry Christmas in advance. Enjoy your holidays. Close your laptop. Shut down your laptop. Please rest. But don't be firewood. Enjoy yourself and have fun. So we'll meet in the WhatsApp group and of course we take it further from there. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night.
the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the nav components and I'm going to go to interactions here. And I would want to go to element trigger here. And while scrolling in view, we have all of these triggers. We have different types: on click, mouse, move over element, scroll into view. So what I want to do, I want to go to page trigger. I'll go to page trigger and I'm going to look at while page is scrolling. We have that. We have while page is scrolling. That's what I'll most likely use, while page is scrolling, because I want it to be about the page. Something should happen to the nav while page is scrolling. So I'm going to test that. So I'm going to click on while page is scrolling, click on it, and I want to go to action here, and I want to play scroll animation. So now we have that. So I want to play, click on this plus sign here to add a scroll animation. Now we have, because we are on while page is scrolling, so we have the beginning of the page scroll, 0%, and we have the end of the page scroll, which is like the end like this. So this is the end, 100%, and this is the beginning, 0%. So I'm going to name the animation while page is scrolling. I want the nav color change. See, that's the logic. While page is scrolling, nav color change is the name of the scroll animation I want to achieve. Now I'm going to say on 0%, what should happen? Now, because I do not want anything to happen on 0%. Okay. On 0%, I want to set the background color. We are on 0%. On 0%, the background color of what? It's saying nav component. Great, that's what we want to affect. On 0%, the nav component should be not white, but transparent. So you see, I'm going to just drag the whatever color that is there, take it to 0. See? So on 0%, we want you to be transparent, which is perfect. So when the hero section is active or is showing, which is 0% of the entire page, we want the nav component to be what? Transparent. All right. Now on 10% is maybe like this, maybe when you've moved a little bit. But how do we know what is 10%? You want to click on this live preview, toggle it on. You want to toggle it on so that this is live preview, right? As you're scrolling, you are seeing the percentage of the entire page. So as we are scrolling, this is at 15%. As we are scrolling, 27%. So what we want is the moment we scroll maybe up until, let's say 15%. Let's say 10%. 10%, yeah. We want the nav to change to black. All right, so I'm going to click here on 10%. Okay, who has a question?
No, really, because it was another observation.
Okay.
I think that 10% is a bit too much because now it's actually closing the nav link. So why not just maybe like maybe before that?
Okay, let's say on 5%.
Yes.
Okay. So on 5%, okay, great. On 5%, we can always adjust it. That's just even if I do on 50%, I can always drag it to like 5%. So yeah, we can do that. So on 5%, I want the nav, component to switch to black. So I have to, okay, yeah. So we have this, but something is wrong somewhere. I need to delete this one here that has 100%. Just take it out. So I'll just double click and delete. So we are working with just these two, first one and second one. So you see, on 0%, it's nothing. Then we start scrolling, black, nothing, black. And that's how you do that. See? Quite simple. Once you scroll back to 0%, it goes back to transparent. See? That's just the logic. Very easy. Okay, you get that?